Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. I'm Chief Sweet and today I'm going to be answering the most commonly asked question I get asked on this channel, on TikTok, and everywhere else. What type of UVB do I need for my bearded dragon? And we're going to be answering a ton of other questions related to UVB as well. So if you've been asking yourself what size UVB I need, what percentage, what number, is Coil UVB good? Do I need to get a T5 or a T8? I'm going to be answering all of that in this video. Let's get into it, shall we? So it's very important to know that all UVB lamps give off UVB, but they give them off in strength. That's why you see them numbered differently, but like 12%, 6%, 150. And that's mainly the reason there's so many different like percentages of strength is because there's so many different brands, and every brand has their own way of measuring their strength. Exoterra might say 150, Zoomed says 5.0, 10.0, Arcadia has percentages, but they all give off strength at a certain distance. So I'm gonna get right into this video. I'm gonna tell you what not to use. I'm gonna do it quick and in a hurry. Coil UVB bulbs, don't use them. I have an entire video on why you shouldn't. You could click on that, it's down on the link. T8s, old school, don't use them as well. What you want is a T5. There's a difference between T5 and a T8. What is that? It's the diameter of the bulb. It's also old school technology. It's weaker. Don't worry about it. You only want T5, linear, high output. Arcadia, honestly, in my opinion, is the best overall. Zoomed, as you'll tell by the data in this video, is going to be a little bit weaker. I go with Arcadia all time. I do have some Zoomed UVBs, yes, but Arcadia is king as of right now. Another question I get is, what size bulb do I need? Do I need like a 30-inch? Do I need a 48-inch? Do I need a 24-inch? 24-inch is going to be perfectly fine for your bearded dragon. You only want half of the enclosure to be covered in UVB. However, if you have a 6-foot long enclosure, go ahead and go with a 30-inch. If you have an 8-foot long enclosure, go with the 48-inch. Obviously, because you're going to be wanting to have half of the enclosure covered in UVB. So that's very important. A lot of people wonder, do I need a huge length? No, you don't need a big, long UVB bulb for your 4x2x2. You just need a 24-inch to cover half of the enclosure. Bam. Next up, when do I replace the UVB bulbs? This is a great question as well. I get asked it a lot. 1 year. Now, I'm going to be showing you data in this video. It's going to be called the Ferguson zone, and it's pretty much how we measure reptiles in a UVI scale. What is UVI? It's UV index from the sun. The sun has UV rays. You usually put sunscreen on to block those, but a lot of lizards love it. It helps them synthesize vitamin D3 for calcium absorption. That's what they need. They have to get. They're cold-blooded creatures. They use the sun to warm up their bodies, and they also use the sun to get the UVB to help their body get that vitamin D3 and get some calcium. If we don't have it, and why this video is so important, if they don't get UVB, they will get metabolic bone disease. And a lot of times you don't even know it. A lot of times you can't see it. They get weird bent legs. They might get all kinds, they get sicker faster. They get stuff, all that stuff. Another question I get asked quite a bit is, what's the difference between UVA and UVB? Do I need UVA by itself? Do I need UVB? The ones I'm recommending in this video, all the UVB bulbs produce UVA as well. You don't have to worry about that. But if you want to know the difference, UVA has to do with how a bearded dragon behaves. It's like behavioral. It helps them, mood-wise, eat, all that type of stuff, mating, all that sort of stuff. UVB, like I said, it obviously does with the calcium, vitamin D3. Bam. But with these bulbs, you don't have to worry about it. It gives UVA and UVB. I could go into further meanings of everything, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be recommending 3 lamps for bearded dragons. Why 3 lamps? Because I've tested a lot, other people as well, and these 3 are pretty much the only ones you want to use. Other ones are not reliable. They don't produce enough UVB for your bearded dragon. And even the ones I'm showing you right now, you're going to want to have your bearded dragon in a certain distance from the bulb itself. A lot of these, even the strongest ones on the market, you can't have your bearded dragon like past 20 inches or it's not going to be proper UVB. Because the lamp itself, even though it's mounted, it's going to get weaker the farther away you get from it. Like any type of lamp on the market or light, if you have a flashlight, you shine it away, the farther you get, the weaker it's going to get. Same goes with these UVB lamps as well. The 3 lamps I highly recommend getting and using for your bearded dragon is the Arcadia 12% T5 high output 24 watt 24-inch lamp for a 4x2x2 obviously, and its stronger self, the Arcadia 14% T5 high output lamp as well. The last one is the Zoomed T5 10.0. Now, it's very important because Zoomed does they sell their T5 and like, because it always says like, oh, it comes with a free UVB bulb. That free UVB bulb is only 5.0. It's not going to be strong enough unless you have your bearded dragon in a 20-gallon tank. So you want for the Zoom Ed to go buy the bulb, even though it comes with a free one. I know it sucks. You got to buy the 10.0 bulb if you get the Zoom Ed fixture. So that's just the way it is, but it's very important to know that. Those 3 lamps is what I'm going to be recommending for this video. The enclosure sizes, I'm only going to have between a 40-gallon and a 120-gallon, pretty much 18 to 24 inches height away from the bottom of those enclosures to the top of the screen or to the lamp itself. Now, say you did, I know this happens a lot, you got a bearded dragon and they gave you a 20-gallon tank. If that 20-gallon tank, like is most other 20-gallon tanks, is 12 inches tall, get an Arcadia 6% bulb. That will be good for that for now, but you're gonna have to upgrade to a much larger tank for bearded dragons too small. So let's get into the data. So when I'm talking about where your bearded dragon should be, I'm gonna be talking between a certain inches. Say it's gonna be 9 to 15 inches. When I say 9 to 15 inches, that means that your bearded dragon has to be in between 9 to 15 inches from the bulb. It's going to be the bulb 9 inches away, and the farthest he can be away from that is 15 inches. If he goes past like 15 inches, it's going to be too far. He's not going to be getting enough UVB. So remember that, and I'm going to have screen and not screen. So let's get into the data, shall we? So if you don't have a screen top, you're mounting UVB inside of the cage, or you just have it on top with no screen, your basking area needs to be in between 12 to 20 inches away for an Arcadia 12% T5 24 watt UVB bulb. That means your bearded dragon cannot be more than 20 inches away from the Arcadia 12% bulb. For an Arcadia 14% T5 high output bulb, it needs to be in between 13 and 21 inches, meaning your dragon cannot sit farther than 21 inches away from the bulb or get closer than 12 inches because it will be too much UVB. For the Zoom Ed 10.0 T5 high output 24 watt bulb, you need your dragon to sit in between 10 to 16 inches away from the bulb. Again, for that Zoom Ed 10.0 bulb, that means your dragon cannot be farther than 16 inches away from the bulb with no screen. Now, say you have a screen top enclosure and you're going to lay the UVB lamp across the screen. If you're using a Zoom Ed, Exoterra, or EcoFlex enclosure, they do block 35% of UVB. So you need your dragon to be in between 9 to 15 inches for the Arcadia 12% T5 high output 24 watt lamp. If you're using a Reptizoo, Dubia Roaches, or Zen Habitats enclosure, the screen will block 45% of UVB, so you need the basking spot to be in between 7 to 14 inches. So your dragon can't be more than 14 inches away from the top of the screen, or he will not be getting proper UVB. If you have an Arcadia 14% T5 high output 24 watt lamp, and you're putting it on top of a Zoom Ed, Exoterra, or EcoFlex enclosure, you want your basking spot to be between 9 to 16 inches. If you have a Dubia Roaches enclosure, Zen Habitats, Reptizoo, your basking spot also needs to be between 7 to 14 inches. I know what you're probably thinking, how is the stronger bulb have the exact same basking spot as the weaker bulb? And that's only because the stronger bulb is only stronger by a little bit. It's only 2%. And 45% of the UVB is getting blocked. Not only that, it's inches. It's kind of a lot. Like inches is like this, you know. Just that little bit of change can cause a lot of, so like I said, 14% for one. So 14 inches away, the Arcadia 12% has like a 3.1. 14 inches away from the 14%, it's a 3.3. You go to 15 inches and they both fall below what we need, and that's why they have the same basking spot, both of these, even though one's stronger than the other, if that makes sense. Last on the list is the Zoom Ed 10.0 T5 high output 24 watt 24 inch lamp. So if you are using a Zoom Ed, Exoterra, or EcoFlex screen top enclosure, your basking spot needs to be in between 6 to 12 inches. So your dragon cannot be farther than 12 inches away from the screen. If you're using a Reptizoo, Dubia Roaches, or Zen Habitat enclosure, your basking spot needs to be in between 5 to 10 inches, so your dragon cannot be farther than 10 inches away from the screen with the Zoom Ed 10.0 T5. And if you want to know how to get higher basking zones, when I talk about, oh, you have to raise your basking zone, what you can do is you get some pieces of wood, lay him across the enclosure, and when your bearded dragon goes to get warm, he's gonna climb on there, and it's raised it. Like in this clip right here, my bearded dragon, I have a basking zone. He always goes up here to bask, and I have raised it because I do have a very large enclosure. It's 2 feet tall, and since it's 2 feet tall, obviously I'm not gonna be getting the right amount of UVB if it's just a bare bottom with a rock, so I had to raise the basking spot. Another way of doing it, which I see a lot of people do, is you could go to Home Depot, a garden center, Lowe's. You get like little cinder blocks. A lot of people get these little cinder blocks. They're like 60 cents a piece, and you can start stacking them and then get a big like flat piece of cinder block, lay it on top, bam, and you can make like little staircases. People make staircases, and it also acts as a hide, a nice hide that can go in between it. It's a hide. So make sure to stabilize it. You might have to glue it together because it can be wobbly when you start raising it up past like 6 inches. But you make that, bring it up, and you could bring it up 6 to 10 inches, and that way you get the appropriate basking spot in your enclosure. It also is important to remember, once you start raising the basking zone, the heat lamp you're using is going to make that hotter because it's also going to be closer to that basking zone. So you might have to lower your wattage. Very important to remember that. And that is all. I hope this was a easy to understand video. I understand if it's not. I try to do my best to explain it. I know there's a lot of info, a lot of stuff, but I try to narrow it down to pretty much, you know, what you need. Your bearded dragon needs to be in between this amount of inches away from the top of the screen or just the lamp. A lot of this data was thanks to the Reptile Lighting group on Facebook. If you want to join that, have any questions, they have amazing people in there doing the same thing I do. I have the solar meter, they have the solar meter, and there's people in there who are way more qualified than me if you want to go deeper and dive into that. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I was of some help. If you did like this and enjoy it, like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.